welcome back everyone to a new show of Friends with Boundary. I miss you all. Yeah, been out for a little while. Sickness, just things that really took me out. I couldn't speak for a long time. Speaking hurts actually, and swallowing hurts. Hope you never ever have that type of illness. In the future or any time soon. It's just rough down here in Miami. My wife was also plagued by it, so it really, both of us were suffering through that. And over time, it's getting a little better. I still have a small set of symptoms, but it's nothing major. And I really wanted to jump back in and talk a little bit with you all and continue to have this conversation. My hope is that it can continue to reach out to people. If you like the show, please chime in. I really want to hear from all of you what your thoughts are so far. I've Jacqueline as a great guest for 2 episodes, and we went deep into some of the family dynamics, some of the expectations, dating. We talked a lot about, how we ought to conduct ourselves. We're not being perfect. We're to strive to become more and more aware and able to make those repairs when needed, and also clearly define our thoughts, our expectations, and most importantly, have communications, because we want to be around people, right? We want to be around those people that we love, and we definitely want to live a life that is a give and take type of relationship where everybody wins. We don't want it to be a place where we are constantly trying to ice people out, or in a place where we just have to give of ourselves all the time. But finding that give and take that really leads to a fulfilling relationship, whether it's romantically, family, friendships, co-workers, and definitely a lot of thoughts about that, and we'll dive into that in future episodes. But I do like to hear from you all. What has been things that are affecting your life, maybe, or areas that you are thinking about? Hey, maybe I can spend some time to be more clear, be more understanding, or be more, more ourselves, and so that we can live a full and authentic life. For this episode, it's going to be a little bit shorter. I did have some involvement. I'm glad to be able to read some of the things that people have sent me. But the focus will, instead of me diving into a topic, it's something that I do occasionally enjoy while scrolling through Reddit. There's these different types of subreddits where people are throwing out ideas, questioning whether their actions or their thoughts, fall in a range that's understandable, or that, they want to hear feedback from others to ensure that they are not being overreacting, that they are not, just being a jerk, right? One of the subreddits is AITAH, and we'll dive in a little bit. Couple of stories. I'll talk about some of the stories that I'm reading on there. Actually, I don't even know. We're diving in this together. We'll read it together, and then I'll give some thoughts of where I see boundaries are being violated or boundaries are not being kept. I just like going to these stories sometimes because it allows me to see where people are in their own journey of self-awareness and boundary developing. Are they healthy? And a lot of times what I find is that people won't want to come off as a jerk, right? The AH in this subreddit stands for a curse word. I'm sure you can imagine which one that is. It's not that hard to figure out. But they don't want to be people that are selfish, right? They don't want to come off as mean. They don't want to come off as unfair. And so they throw out these stories and trying to get some feedback. Now, I got to tell you, some of these stories are wild, and a good bit of them may be made up with AI or just people looking for attention. So we have that caveat in there. But at the end of the day, we can thoughtfully just go through and maybe, tease out like where are some things that that we don't have to go to a subreddit, or that we don't have to ask people for permission, or all constantly self-doubting that if our actions are correct or not. I am coming in from more of a lens that people want to be helpful, that people are kind and want to be kind, and that their default is not to be an AH, right? Their default is not to become someone that's selfish. And so this going through these stories really does give me that sense that people are, or at least the people who ask these questions, are willing to become more self-aware. And so, I'll let you, if this is something we enjoy, we can definitely go through several, different subreddits or different stories in the future. So just some, just going through some of these stories to kind of measure and have a discussion about what you think, where are the boundaries that needs to be built, where are the questions that we need to ask ourselves, or the actions that need to be taken. And if we truly enjoy this, maybe we'll do some, maybe even with other people. So let's dive right in. I already have the page open up. Really, I'm picking whatever story is on the Reddit, and I'll read out the story. And from there, you can start thinking about, hey, where do we become more of a greater friend with our expectations and boundaries? So, AITAH, for asking my sister to give me my money back after her husband made fun of my wife's scars. Wow, that sounds pretty straightforward, right? But honestly, there's a lot of relational things going on just from reading this title. There's money being lent. There is, respect being violated. So let's dive into it. It's an update for those who don't read my previous posts. My wife has some small self-harm scars from her childhood. Oh, wow. Definitely someone who experienced a lot of pain. And my brother-in-law insulted my wife, asked her to cover them up. And when I couldn't tolerate the disrespect, I asked him to give me the money I lent him for his surgery and healthcare. Oosh, this really dives into a lot of pain. Now, just from the writer's perspective, I think it gets my emotion kind of boiling, if you will, where it's really not cool to insult someone's pain, insult someone's scars, right? Asking them to cover up, almost like telling them what to do. I mean, it's not almost, it's exactly what that is. So from that perspective, I really can understand the anger of the original poster. So after my brother-in-law insulted my wife and asked her to cover her scars, I wanted him to pay me back the money as soon as possible, right? This seems very logical. I mean, the money was given for his healthcare as a loan, as my understanding. My brother-in-law and sister said they'd give me my money back in 3 months, and it's been a year and still don't. Okay. Really, trouble in paradise anytime when a big sum of money is involved with family and expectation is set and it's not being followed through. I mean, in families that really do follow through, I definitely have no problem having that lending and giving. But this is big. 3 months is like 3 months time that extended into a year. That's 4 times the kindness of giving them that room to pay back, right? My wife told me today that my brother-in-law called her and he apologized to her, so I shouldn't ask for money because they can't afford it. Wow. Clearly the apology in this sense, and you can let me know if I'm wrong, but the function of this apology is not truly an apology. It's functional, it's transactional. So they wouldn't have to do what they are supposed to do. Let's keep reading. I told my wife that he's taking advantage of your kindness and he apologized to you because he couldn't afford to pay and he insulted you in front of everyone and deserves a public apology. So far, I think that's fair. And my wife said that she's forgiven him and doesn't want the money back and they need the money more than us. This really is a big heart. Now, in my position, definitely the wife of the original poster, much bigger person than I am. I told her to stay away from this and let me do my thing. I will ask them again and again until they pay. But my wife said she doesn't want to and shouldn't either, and should be the bigger person after brother-in-law apologized since she's forgiven. Actually, I don't care if I get my money back. This is important. the previous sentence kind of seemed um, to tie into this thought, which I truly can follow the poster's thought. I am just using to get back at him. I want to humiliate him, just like he humiliated my wife in front of our family, but my wife doesn't want that. So this is tricky. This is not as straightforward, right? In a bit, the poster recognizes there is a hurt pride, there is humiliation for sure, and he's seeking justice in this sense, right? Being willing to absolve, because he is in a position of more power, so to speak, or the in the role of the more fairness, right? He's owed money. He is owed an apology. And honestly, so far I can see, if everything is laid out as it is, the poster has every right. And he also has that right to absolve, to forgive, to exonerate. So he's readily admitting that this is less of about the money itself and more of the function of making repairs, right? Making amends that needs to be coming from a place of true, apology, a true change, a true remorse from the brother-in-law. And where's the sister in all of this? She seems to not really talk to her husband. Again, I recognize there's a gender dynamic also sometimes in these situations, but certainly all the actors involved in this story. So at the end of the day, I don't think the original poster is being unfair, and he is setting a boundary of sorts that it is not to be. You do not hurt my family, my wife, my partner, right? And that that he's enacting fairness or justice in this situation, where I think what he's seeking at this point is a true. Well, it does sound like he's trying to humiliate the brother-in-law, right? That would appease his anger. And if we're talking to human level, I definitely understand his positions completely. I would definitely say he is not the AH, but also don't let this fester and become bitterness. My hope is that he finds support in others, in family and friends who really ought to help the brother-in-law see what he has done, what his actions, and that he can truly change and be apologetic. But at this point, with the information given, I say, the poster keeps up that pressure because he is owed that money. It's, in all fairness, he is owed that money. Or if he can have what he's asking for, which is a public apology, it's almost a counter humiliation. The bigger hope on a ethical level, maybe on a spiritual level, is reconciliation, a change of heart and mind, and a true remorse from the brother-in-law, which in most situations I don't think he'll get. And so this pressure to ask to it's gonna end up in a cycle of pain. I will say that if he gets his money back, right, he keeps up the pressure, a lot more relationships can be hurt and broken, not just between the poster and the brother-in-law, but also some effects between the wife. Now, I would hope that the wife, as kind as she is, also understand that there are steps towards justice that should be taken and not just completely absolve, because the brother-in-law is not going to change unless he is given the consequences that he deserves, right? Most of the times when I read the answers, people are very sensible, and so let's see what's going on with the first one. This should pay you back because you let them borrow from kindness of your heart. Totally get where you're coming from, but the family drama is probably stressing your wife out. I think her mental health happiness is more priority than humiliation. The humiliation could go make her feel guilty even though she's not it's not her doing, but it's technically because of her. Love that you're defending her though. Your sister's husband is the AH, right? Kind of falling in line with my thoughts. I have some hope that there are sensible people even on Reddit, and some of these answers really just aligns with the idea of let's practice sensible boundaries, sensible expectations, sensible communication. All right, let's go to the next one. Am I the AH? Or telling my son's African American girlfriend that she can a wig, even if my son doesn't want her to. Well, terrible grammar. Kind of already know that this is not an AI, but the owner is also deleted. So just from reading the title, I'm like, wow, yeah, you are going to get destroyed by Reddit for asking something that clearly, it's clear to me that some racial undertone, some offensive nature is going on here. Let's see what the story says. I am a 37-year-old female, a white woman, out of my depth on this topic, too scared to ask anyone who is African American to face. Fair. Okay, so tiny bit of level of self-awareness. I am gonna guess that this person, this mom, this 37-year-old mom, is sheltered and probably untouched by a lot of the racial discrimination and hurt that has been going on in this country. I'm just guessing this is from the United States. Sometimes they're not. From that sense, there is some level of admittance, but it sounds like, and we'll read further, that this person is also very much not coming from a position of humbleness, position to learn, but rather want to do this anonymously and almost excuse their behavior. So let's see what happens. My son's 14-year-old male. First girlfriend is an African American girl, 13-year-old female. It's cute. This young love here. The son is definitely, not in the same influence as mom. That I could say that. Who we'll call Nina. Usually when I see her, she's a bubbly social butterfly. She smiles a lot and is very talkative. Recently, I noticed Nina seeming less confident the times I see her. Her change in demeanor was the most noticeable change, but I also noticed the recent lack of wig, makeup, and jewelry. I didn't even realize the two things were connected. One day I would drive them to a party. My son was upstairs, Nina was downstairs. She looked like she was dreading going to this party and asked her what's wrong. She said she doesn't feel pretty. I asked her why, and she said she's still getting used to showing her natural hair. I asked her if she feels uncomfortable showing her hair. Why is she doing it? She said, my son thinks she looks cooler this way. Oh, this story kind of took a different turn. I told her I used to do things to impress boys when I was her age. I told her she can wear a wig even if my son doesn't want her to. Okay. This is a different direction. I'm probably the wrong one here. Okay, days later, I've never seen my son more angry at me than that day. He said I'm a white woman, shouldn't be advising a black girl how to look. He said, called me overhearing. I think he meant to say overbearing. Mom and a Karen. I was too shocked as I speak and never seen him so angry. Am I the AH? This definitely took a different turn as far as my assumption. So let's put it in there. Let me admit some of my own preconceived thing here, right? As a minority, there definitely is a lot of things that I'm learning and considering that some are pains caused by ethnic issues, racial discrimination, and that there's this, there's this thing that hangs around in our society, and that's often mainly from ignorance or actual individuals, right? I'm not putting a whole color and race, but individuals who don't seem to think that they can hurt others or don't seem to think that they are wrong in the wrong here. So the discussion kind of turns more into a comfort, a woman to a female to female kind of conversation, and that continued exploration can happen from just discussing what how to build confidence, what they would like for themselves, what makes them feel more comfortable. I think the 14-year-old son actually is someone who, instead of being more understanding of the female to female issues, the gender issues that's going on here, he is laying out an anger regarding race and really cut off his mom. Well, just not cut off his mom, but really insulted mom from that angle. So there is a mix of discussion here that it's unclear where this communication goes and made it very, very messy. And so if we are to build some levels of boundary here, we have to be on the same wavelengths in communicating. Are there issues of race and appearances? Yes, I think that is going to be part of it. But on the other side, it doesn't seem like the mom is telling the girl, right, what to do and imposing sort of an ideology of sorts. Rather, it's a insecurity, I would imagine, an insecurity within females. And please correct me if I'm wrong. And they can communicate on that level to really build up their own identity as a female, as their appearance. And, there is some encouragement, if I'm reading this right, from the mom for self-love and self-respect and self-directedness, autonomy, if you will. And if the son thinks she looks cooler this way without really seeing her side of things, maybe working with the 13-year-old's own pace, then the son is the one that's really not respecting boundaries here, and in my opinion, and definitely has no trouble being angry at mom without trying first to be understanding. There's some misguided social justice thing going on here, is my understanding, and so I really wish that they have a better communication. All right, let's see some of the responses. The gold one usually means people really upvoted this, thought they were great. So a white woman can't say anything to a young girl to make her feel better about how she presents herself, but a young white boy can? Does he maybe think he's being supportive by encouraging her to show her natural hair instead of wigs or something, and completely ignoring how his girlfriend completely feels? See, that's kind of where my thought is. This 14-year-old teen has a misguided anger. That's what I'm thinking. A little delusional, but maybe his heart is not totally in the wrong place. Like, he made a comment, didn't really ask her, Fair. I mean, teenagers, they latch onto one aspect, and their entire focus is on one aspect. Clearly, there was no discussion of, gender expectations and on that level. So again, the communication is not on the same wavelength. It's not just a comment if he's raging at his mom for saying to do what he feel confident. Okay, so let's see. As mom of boys, teenage male rage is real towards mom, especially about girlfriends. In this case, I'm hoping he realizes he overreacted out of passion. He won't, unless you have a calm conversation. Most of the time, as a boy, I remember being a teen, we're very much justified in whatever we think is right in our mind, and really just can mess up a lot of conversations. Okay, those hormones are crazy. People, please don't assume that this is his default setting. We don't have enough info. Very, 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 very good to kind of help us take a step back. Original poster, good on you for recognizing that his girlfriend was uncomfortable. I applaud you for reminding her to be her true self. Hopefully you can hug your son, let him know that you are speaking with love and support, but please be open to hear his side of the story. Again, uh, you know, a good step to take in, and reminding us that, he does have his side of story. He needs to be heard, but he also needs to, you know, be open to hearing mom's side. In my household, this would prompt a grown-up meeting with my son, husband, and myself. I would have asked my son to help me understand what exactly I did to upset him. My husband would act as a mediator to keep our tone and volume in check. This method fostered open, judgment free, solution based discussion, and it was some of the most difficult discussions I've had in my life. Our boys are now in their late 20s, so no more table talks for me. Well, I can feel that for mom, right? Those are some fantastic times to be family, and those are the heart to heart moments. Bridget Post, I know this is long and got off topic. Hang in there, do your best, and appreciate this passionate stage in your son's life. See, I'm not saying that people need to follow this post's blueprint, but there is a setting aside of time for family and working things out. And it's not going to happen in one meeting. It's not going to happen in, multiple meetings, maybe even sometimes, but there is a space for openness, a space to get on the same frame of mind, and a space to listen to each other. And that, if families can consistently able to mediate and solve that, and it doesn't matter what kind of composition you have. You can have, a great aunt, a great uncle to be part of the mediation. You can have grandparents, if they're willing. But as long as there's facilitation of communication and openness, we'll work things out. And that is lacking. I mean, families who are capable of, having these spaces to create communication, to work out our selves, work out our thoughts, work out our identities, to work out our words. We feel a lot sometimes. We feel a whole lot of injustice or justice, or feel like justification in our own thoughts and mind, that we don't take the time to listen to other perspectives, to listen for other support and maybe other oppositions. If families can do that consistently, there would not be a need for family therapy to work out family conflict, to work out couples conflict that way, right? We would more so focus on enrichments, next steps, planning together, and overcoming. Other Our lives is already filled with a lot of pain and griefs, right? Losses, traumas. Our family therapy would focus more on that rather than trying to get everyone to work on what's naturally something that happens a lot in the past, is coming together and have those difficult dialogues. The avoidance of difficult dialogues erodes boundary. Let me just put that out there. The avoidance of painful, hard communication erodes boundary, which in turn erodes relationship. All right, we'll talk about this as the last one. This was posted 45 minutes ago. Am I the AH for making my roommate pay for the HOA fee? Oh, this is spicy. Okay. I've had this issue with this roommate for this past year, but over the past month, it escalated. We got fined for an oil stain from my roommate's car. It was communicated to him it was his responsibility to get it cleaned up, as his car is the only one parked in that spot. He never communicated when or if he's getting it fixed. So our rental company booked an appointment to come clean it for us. We already have a red flag here. He never communicated when. Just lack of accountability, lack of initiation. When we told him he have to pay for what they charge, he then got a guy off Facebook Marketplace to come clean it. Clearly, money is an issue. They canceled the appointment, and we had just to wait to see if the HOA approved. Really, HOA has the final say on their community and their housing. A month later, they sent us a second violation because the guy he hired made the stain worse, and he was made aware. He didn't do anything, so the company sent someone to fix it. I texted him the total. He refuses to pay the whole thing, $100, leading an HOA fee. Because HOA violations are everyone's responsibility, even though we had a violation for our grass being dead and he didn't help during the regrowth process and post-care. AITAH for expecting him to pay the total because his oil stain was created by the car. I mean, this sounds so straightforward. Yes, we don't want to have hurt feelings. Yes, we don't want to get into fights. But this person from your description poster, original post, just seems like he's avoiding responsibility and making things worse, and just continues to make things worse. And wow, this needs to go towards a judge on how to make it more fair in those instances. But in the terms of boundaries, we got to have a serious talk about what it is to be a roommate. What is the agreement? How do we handle situations like this, right? The dead grass situation didn't seem like everyone pitched in. So that was already something that can hint into a future problem. Now, this oil stain thing has gotten worse and worse. My guess is if they're not being a team player, it's the right of the people to remove him. And I know that's a difficult conversation. I don't know his situation. He may be in a very dire situation. Definitely finances is a big issue for this person, but accountability, responsibility, these are conversations, these are agreements that needs to happen and needs to be more ironclad. So if you are trying to live together, trying to be roommates, right? And you were trying to give each other benefit of a doubt, really hoping that everyone is being fair, does not work, then it comes to a point where you have to make things crystal clear on paper. And you're not being an AH. This is clarifying the boundaries. It was unclear before. There was probably some benefits of a doubt given to one another. But when someone, don't follow that spirit of the agreement of what it means to be a roommate, then we have to take the step to make things more clear. And that is not a jerk move. That is not being mean. That just means that the person completely lost your trust, and that, things need to be spelled out. I hate that we have to go the legal route for a lot of times, but this is not a friend or a family, right? Friend or family, I mean, even if it's friend or family, I still would rather have a very crystal clear things outlined so we avoid situations like this, where, again, justice and fairness is out the window because someone is refusing to be responsible. In most situations, I feel like it's not going to lead to a good one as long as the roommate is not upholding his end. I think you're going to end up, you and whichever other roommates are going to end up having to pay. It's not going to be fair. But if you do that, then you have to take that step to make this roommate go away, that he's no longer welcome. He's not even respecting the HOA rules. This is not your house rule. This is the HOA. So no, you are not the AH. And yet, I think going forward, if you don't take that hard line to clarify and draw out a plan of, hey, if you want to continue to excuse me, continue to be our roommate, you just got to own up to your part of the agreement, or we're just going to look for someone else. You can even get the HOA involved to kick him out. It's, at this point, it's going to become a long-term issue if you don't fix this now. All right. So yeah, some fantastic stories. I mean, I really enjoy that. And, there's a weird turn that I didn't expect. And that one was great to, show that, I need to slow down. I need to really read through things. The last part of our podcast is I've asked, a couple of people on Instagram what the best advice they've received as far as developing boundaries. Jeanette is a friend. and she really dove into this topic hard and really started applying some of these advice, saying no when something doesn't feel right. Right? We're given a gut feel, we're given a internal radar, and sometimes when things don't feel right, we take a moment and pause and don't commit to any actions. It's really, really helpful that way. And it may be you could be right, you could be wrong, but you don't proceed, you know, with whatever is being asked of you. And, take some time to think about it. Say, no, not this time. Give me more time to think through this instead of being pressured into giving a yes answer or doing someone a favor. Second one, speak up when I need rest and say when I want to take a break. This is, really good boundaries to communicate, because we have to know our limits. We have to know that, we are not the same as everyone else. So, we don't want to overly care for others or overly give of ourselves. And even at our job, you want me to be the best. I know what I need. I know what it is that will help me be most efficient and effective. And part of that may be rest. Don't bottle things up. If I feel hurt or upset, I try to express it in a moment instead of just keeping it inside. This does take some learning, but it's helpful to not bottle up feelings. In the work that I've done with teenagers, one of the things we always teach them: let it come and it will go. Right? Let the feelings come. Feel it. Feel those emotions. Make sense of it. Not just let it fester. And if we ever ignore them, they will be stored up in our body. The body keeps a score is not just a saying. It really is a guideline for how our biology and our social life are intertwined. Don't try to take the responsibility for everything or help everyone. We want to save everyone, and this will become a pure standalone episode for those who are from a collectivist, background, or someone who's practicing religion or familial obligations, familial piety. Oftentimes, we feel like this is one of the highest virtues, to take responsibility for someone, for everything, and that we ought to push ourselves to self-sacrifice without ever asking for anything for ourselves, without ever asking for self-care. And it's just not true, not correct. I think that's something to be learned, to have a good balance between a collectivist and an individualist framework. 5, avoid situations with people who make me uncomfortable or whom I don't enjoy being around. Stop forcing myself to smile and be overly friendly. Yes. Appearance is a huge thing. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, appearance is a huge thing. And we're almost always taught to set aside our discomfort to not make anyone else uncomfortable. Don't cry. Don't be upset, right? People rarely ask you to stop being happy, stop being proud, stop being happy, stop being joyful, stop being, vibrant or energetic. But they will tell you stop with the unacceptable feelings, not so much because they are helping you, but because they themselves don't know how to handle that. And that we should be pleasant and friendly at all times. And I'm here, if you need to get a permission, hear it from me. You are not responsible for making people feel good around you. That's not to say that you can have a license to be a jerk, but you don't have to make people feel good. Not your job. Not my job. Not your job. I want to be as helpful, I want to be as friendly, but not to the point where your feelings matter above mine. Just does not work that way. So thank you, Jeanette. I also have another one from another friend. We'll call her KD. Really, The best advice I've ever gotten is that setting boundaries will often hurt the other person. Many people don't set boundaries because of this. At the end of the day, we have to decide what's more important, protecting their feelings or protecting ourselves. So that goes back to the theme, right? It doesn't have to be an idea of hurting self or hurting others. There are so many different things in between that can be worked out, but our responsibility, our actions definitely lean towards, hey, do I want to be this person that has no boundaries, that has nothing to protect, no self-care? Or do I need to start making space for both? The you and me. I can be responsible to others, but I'm not responsible for others. There's a huge difference. Maybe I'll have a whole topic to talk about that. The more we lean one way or the other, and the more extreme we hit with the, do I be selfish or completely self-sacrificing, the more we will swing the opposite way in a more extreme way, and the more opportunities for hurt that can happen, whether it's hurting yourself or hurting others, hurting your job, or hurting your community around you. We need to find a better position. We need to find a better space in where we can give when we are capable and not give when we're not capable. So I think these are fantastic advice they've been given, and they're continuing to practice. Again, these are areas that we constantly need to talk about and have understanding of how do we apply it in different situations. There's no one size fits all for any of this. But as you journey with me together in this Friends with Boundaries journey, I hope you come alongside. Tell me about your thoughts. What is the best boundary advice you've ever received? We are heading into the fall season, so I hope you do enjoy the fall theme for this episode. Until next time, folks, please hit us up. A book that I would recommend this time around. Let me see. One that will talk a little bit about. All right, so this is another book that I thought was fantastic at the time that I needed it. How to Have That Difficult Conversation by Dr. Henry Cloud. Oh, it's only $17.79. Okay, there's an affiliate link in the show notes. But How to Have That Difficult Conversation is a fantastic book to give you examples and really help you start becoming the person who you want towards others. In the examples we have today, we have parents that need to have difficult conversation. We have, brother-in-law that we need to have difficult conversation with. We have a roommate that we need to have difficult conversation with. So find this in the show link, and any time you can purchase these books through my show link, it will help support the show. It will continue to help me, encourage me to build up on more future episodes, and hopefully become a resource for you or people that you care about who will benefit from becoming friends with boundary. Until next time, folks, I hope you learned something from today. Let me know, is this something that you would like more of? Is there more people that you would like on the show to hear from? Anything that will help make this show more friendly and more relevant to you, just hit me up on Instagram, friendswithboundary, or our email, friendswithboundary@gmail.com. Until next time, folks, may you be one with your boundaries.